Hi, and welcome back to Mr. Haas's Math Help videos. It's time for lesson 10. So here we go. It is multiplying and dividing of decimals with a little bit of estimating thrown in to just check and make sure that we're getting the right answers. Because sometimes what happens in these problems is we don't get our decimal point. We go through all that bother and we work really hard and we get the numbers all right, but then our decimal place or point is in the wrong place. So we got to double check, use that estimating to make sure we're doing that right. I'm going to start us off with the easier of the two. I always like multiplying rather than dividing. So what I'm going to give us here is a problem out of the book. And we have 3.25 times 1.5. Okay, well, so I always like putting the smaller one on the bottom. The reason for that is that you end up having to add fewer lines when you're coming up with your product. So I'm going to change this to multiplying into a vertical format. This is horizontal. We're going to go vertical. Now remember, you don't use a cross on this one. Everything gets pushed over to the right. Okay, it doesn't matter. The decimals don't line up with this. So I'm going to put that 3.25 here, and I'm going to put 1.5 here. Notice they're not lining up. Everything's over like there's this invisible wall over here. Okay? There's our multiplication sign. 5 times 5 is 25. My 5 goes here. My 2 goes up there. 5 times 2 is 10 plus the 2 is 12. My 2 goes here. My 1 goes up there. My 5 times 3 is 15 plus 1 is 16. I get 6 here. My 1 goes up there. Nothing to multiply, so it comes down. Did you notice that when I was writing the numbers that get carried up over here, I'm writing them first on the right-hand side of the big numbers? That's because I know I've got 2 lines to go up there, and I may do some carrying, probably not in this case. But if I were, like had maybe a number like 7 or 4 or something up here, I would probably be carrying and I'd have to write another number up here. That kind of gives me a little bit of help so I don't get confused about what's going, which number is which one I'm actually adding. So anyway, now I'm multiplying by like 10, okay? So if I was pretending that there wasn't decimal points here, that would be in the tens place. So I've got to put a 0 here. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. Now we add this all up. We have a 5 and 0 is 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. Getting ahead of myself there. 6 plus 2 is 8. And 1 plus 3 is 4. Now, here's the important part. How many decimals or how many digits are we that are on the right-hand side of these decimal points? I have 1, 2, 3. So I've got to go back 3 places. All right? I start all the way here on the right, and I go 1, 2, 3. Okay. So my answer supposedly is 4.875. Let's take a look at that estimating. We got about 1.5 times 3. 1 times 3 is 3, right? What's half of 3? 1.5. 1.5 plus the 3? That's 4.5. Wow, pretty close. If we'd have had 48, we'd have been way off. That answer couldn't be right. And if we had 0.4, well, 1 times 3 isn't going to be 0.4. So yeah, this looks like a reasonable answer. Okay, let's try a little bit of division now and see how we're doing there. And these are just Big 15 problems, guys. This is a good thing we've studied Big 15 so much. So now we're going to find ourselves a nice division problem that we can do. It doesn't look like that. Here we go. I've got one now. Also from the book. And this is just kind of like what we have in our Big 15. So our problem is 4.2 divided by 0.35. Oh, don't you wish you had a calculator? Sorry, I can't. All right, so we know that this one's the one that goes underneath the bracket. Okay, so here's our bracket, and we have 4.2. outside 0.35. Well, we can't multiply by a decimal. That's just too darn confusing. So let's make it 35 by moving the decimal 2 places. And I'm going to move this one 2 places. And I'm going to put a 0 in here, and that's where my decimal point. This is kind of messy, so I hope you don't mind. I'm going to move it over here. Okay, so I have 35. I'm just rewriting it. And it's going to be the same thing when I get done. 420. There's my decimal place right up there. Okay, so I had 35 and 420. 35, 420. Okay, so now, how many times does 35 go into 4? It don't. How many times does it go into 42? Once. 1 times 35 is 35. Okay, great. I do my subtraction. This is going to become a 3. This becomes 12. That's 7. Bring down the 0. How many times does 35 go into 70? Well, twice. 2 times 35 is 70. Okay, great. I do my subtraction, and I'm done. This 0 you really don't need, so your answer is 12. Let's try reversing the process and see if this makes sense, if our answer makes sense. Does 35, in other words, 0.35, times 12, is that going to equal 42? Well, I know that 10 times 35 would be 35. And 2 times 35 is 70. So, yeah, that would be kind of, 12 looks like it'll work. So, 12 is our answer for this one. Okay, so estimating with division is a little bit harder. But if you think about it, if you wanted to work it backward, you would then just try doing this. You would do 0.35, and you can put the 0 out there, and you could do 12. Okay, 2 times 5 is 10. 0 here, 1 up there. 3 times 2 is 6, plus the 1 is 7. And you don't have to do anything with that. Now we're multiplying by 10, so I put that 0 down there. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 3 is 3. I add them together. 0 and 0 is 0. 7 and 5 is 12. I bring the 1 up. 1 and 3 is 4. I have to go 1, 2 decimal places. 1, 2. And I have 4.2. And that's what we started with up here. Okay? All right. Thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful. If you need any help, let me know. I'll put up another video. Thanks. But you should be doing fine. Bye-bye.